Hi, how you doing? It's peony season in the yard. At least it's about to be full-blown peony season. And one of the things I like to do best is cut bouquets of peonies for the house. I'm about to show you how you can do that without bringing in any bugs whatsoever. My name is Sharon. I garden on a large yard in a small town in East Central Saskatchewan, Zone 3. Welcome to my Sask Garden. This is one of my earliest peonies to bloom. It's called Laura Dessert. I do have a couple of others, but this one is a great one for cutting. However, you can see the bugs. There's ladybugs and ants. And also this year, there's lots of thrips. Thrips are actually hard to see. They're almost minuscule, but they are the ones that cause sort of the misshapen, brownish discoloration and damage on the flowers. That's thrip damage. It's not ant damage. And the ants, you know what? I'm going to get this out there right now. The fact that ants tickle open the peony buds into flowers and that the peonies need the ants is a myth. Urban legend, old wives' tale, call it what you like. Peony blossoms will open regardless of ants or no ants. The only reason that they're there is because the peony bud secretes a nectar and the ants like that, and so they're attracted to it. But, aside from you not wanting to bring them into the house, there is no reason to get rid of ants on peonies. So one of the first things to look for when you're cutting peony blossoms is not to cut ones that are fully open like this, because they will not have the long vase life that you want. This one, I wouldn't cut this simply because of the thrips damage that's on there. What I am going to cut is this one. This is almost perfect in stage, and I always like to say you want to cut at marshmallow stage. So you want to take that bud and you want to squeeze it, and it wants to feel kind of like a marshmallow. And if you were to squeeze another one, this one would probably be ready tomorrow. It's just a little bit too hard. And this one is, of course, still, a hardball stage, and that is not good for cutting at this point. You don't want to take any more of the peony foliage that you need to, and when you cut it, you want to cut it above a leaf, not right underneath it. So I'm going to cut this one with about, what is that, maybe 16 inches of stem. And maybe you can get in here, Andy. Instead of cutting it below this leaf joint, to take that leaf is of no benefit because we're going to strip it off anyway. But it is of benefit to the plant to keep it, move that. It is of benefit to the plant to keep it because, again, this will provide nutrition for the plant and an ability to, gather sunshine and get more energy for next year's growth. So I'm just going to cut it just below that. And this one has a thrips damaged bud, so I'm not going to take that bud. I'm just going to take this part. Here is another one. This one has lots of side buds that probably won't amount to anything in the vase, but they do add something, I think, to the flower arrangement. This as well, it feels not quite soft, but soft enough. And so same thing, I'm going to get in here and I'm going to cut just about that much, maybe a little bit lower, but I'm going to cut above a leaf node to leave that last set of leaves that was down there. And I'm just going to take one more, and this one's going to be just a little bit more open. The guard petals, these petals on the outside, have not yet completely unfurled, so it hasn't been open. It probably just opened this morning sometime. And I'm just going to take, again, just above a leaf node. Oh, maybe I missed that one. All right, so we're going to take 3 of those, and we'll just move over to another peony and take another color. So as it turns out, I really don't have any more aside from the Laura dessert. I do have Buckeye Bell that's also blooming. Most of the buds are already in full bloom. This one is just barely unfurling. I took it. I'm not sure that it'll get used in this arrangement or not. And this bee wants to come in the house with me, I guess. Off you go. I'd like to dispel another myth, and that is that when you see ladybugs, there's automatically going to be aphids. And the myth is that the aphids that the ants are farming the aphids and that the aphids are inside the peony bud. That's not true. I mean, that's not to say you may not find aphids on a peony. I have never found aphids on a peony. Those ladybugs, I have millions of ladybugs this year, and they are also attracted to that sap, as are the ants. And this, I'm going to mention, this is just called bud blast. And that's when a peony bud fails to develop or open. And that could be for many environmental reasons. One of the most common is a light frost or a frost as that peony bud was forming or developing, and then it just stops developing. So I have quite a few of those this year, and we did have a late, I'm assuming it was a frost. We got down pretty low. Anything that I had covered survived. I didn't notice a lot of damage, but these certainly could have been damaged given that the area that they're in. So there are quite a few with bud blast on this plant this year. So this isn't enough, you know, for a bouquet in the house. So we're going to cut a few more things. Just going to take a little walk around the yard, see what we can find. I have a lot of Martagon lilies, and so I think I'm going to use a few of them just for a little bit of accent. And so I'm cutting them. These have not been open very long, and I'm just cutting with a few buds left on the top. And I'm just going to go into the back here and cut another because it's a really nice one. And I'm going to take a third. I think that pink will look nice in there. There's also some nice thalictrum. And I think that'll give a nice ferny look to the whole thing. I actually don't know how long thalictrum lasts in the vase, but it should look good for a few days, I think. And then maybe we'll add some iris as well. And I have just the ones that I want to cut. Iris, I'm going to cut some of the hosta leaves just to kind of wrap the outside of the bouquet with. And I have a lot of stems on this particular hosta. I was actually looking at it yesterday thinking that maybe I should divide it, but if you have a hosta with nice long stems like that, that is quite perfect. And they are very long lasting in a vase. I mean, if you like the look of just greenery, you could cut just hosta leaves and put them in a vase and they will last a long time. So I think I'm just going to cut, I probably only need 3, but I'm going to cut 5. And you want to just take the longest ones that you could find. Maybe also the ones that, you know, are getting in your way a little. I'll get another one there. All right. It's right here that I am planning to cut. It has 4 buds on it, 5 buds on it that are yet to open. This one has just opened today. And when you're cutting, if you're cutting iris, you don't want to cut off any of the leaves because they need that for next year's growth. So you just want to get as low as you can, but not take off any of the leaves. Now, I know a lot of you probably don't like the idea about cutting flowers from your yard to put in the house because you think that it's taking away from the yard. I have no trouble with it myself. I actually probably enjoy them more in the house than I do in the yard. And I'm just going to get a third one because I like to go in threes. And I think it'll be this one. We're supposed to get some rainy and windy weather this weekend, so you know, iris can get a little floppy in wind if there's a lot of wind. So I look at it as saving the iris. So now I'm going to get rid of all the bugs, hopefully including the thrips, which I see are in here. Thrips are like tiny little, like I said, they're almost minuscule. They are wee little black dots that move. And you can see them mostly. I don't know if they're attracted mostly to the light colored flowers or that's just where you see them the most. But I'm just going to dunk this. If you have a large container of water, just dunk those heads in there. It's really no different than them being subjected to rain. And then just give them a shake. And that should wash off. Well, it didn't wash off the thrips. But that it will wash off anything else that's on there. Thrips have a way of sticking though. And they won't be in they shouldn't be in the buds that are just developing too open. My foliage filler is going to be, I took some Solomon seal as well as the hosta leaves. I didn't see anything on there at all, but I'll give them a little dunk. Here's the thalictrum, same thing. And the lilies, you'll want to strip off any of the foliage that is still on the stem. And there's nothing on here. Some people don't like to bring, while I'm thinking of it, some people don't like to bring lily stems in because they drop pollen. And you can see that that's what would happen here. You can simply cut those off, or you can take a tissue and just pull them off. And then it takes away from the look of the flower, but it will not drop any pollen. These aren't so bad, these Martagon lilies, because they're small. On the larger Asiatic or Oriental lilies, they have a lot of pollen that can fall on the table. And so it's nice to take them off. There's also, I've read some evidence that the flower will last just a little bit longer without the pollen developing. So just give them a little dunk to wash them off. And I mean, you can do this in your laundry sink or in a bucket, any deep vessel of water. Certainly doesn't have to be a rain barrel. And so for the peonies, I'm going to strip this foliage because I don't want anything except what's going to be at the top. Like this, I'll leave these two buds right there. You definitely don't want any of the foliage below the water line. There we go. So the last thing is just to dunk the peonies. Get them in there, give them a swish. I usually go twice just to make sure. And there we go. No ants. So now I think we're ready to assemble. So I'm not, really able to give you a lesson in how to design a flower bouquet. That's not what I'm here for, but I am going to show you how I put it together. I did used to sell cut flower bouquets at one time, at farmer's market, and I did that for a number of years. There we go. I'm going to start this time. I'm going to start with the iris because they are the tallest, and it's good to know which vase you're going to use. I like to use this one. This is one of my favorite ones. It belonged to my grandmother, and then it belonged to my mother. And then I'm going to put in the peonies. And as I said, I like to go in threes. I think there is some rule, you know, some design rule about in threes. It does seem to work. You have to also consider, you know, that this bud and this bud, they're going to open wide within probably 24 hours. They're going to be fully open. And you're also going to want to provide enough room for the iris to open, all those buds to open as well. I think that I will not use this one this time. I will add in these Martagon lily stems, I think. Yeah, I think that'll look nice. Actually, this is the tallest one, so I'm going to put that one back there. And that over there. I don't cut anything from the bottom until I know that I like that. And then this thalictrum, I will also space out as filler. So once that kind of opens, I think everything will have the room that it needs. I cut some Solomon seal. I really like Solomon seal in a bouquet. And so just going to put a few of them around. And then I'm going to finish it off around the bottom with the hosta leaves, just down quite low, so it actually will just, when it's cut, those hosta leaves will sit just above the rim. There's not a lot blooming at this time of year. Another thing that I was going to tuck in and I didn't get was some spirea blossoms from the bridal wreath. Spirea is blooming at the moment, just starting, and in my experience spirea blossoms will last quite a long time in the vase, so they make a pretty good cut flower. There we go. That's how I'm going to do it, I think. And some adjusting can be done once it kind of spills out into the vase. So now comes cutting. And so I think we need to cut straight all across right about there. I hate to not put this in since I cut it. Maybe I can manage it after I do the cuts. So I think it's going to be right about there. Nice clean cuts is what you're looking for. All right. So that's the arrangement. What am I going to use for water? What I have here is, I've used RO or reverse osmosis water, but as long as you're using non-softened water, so not, our water is very hard and all of the taps in our house have softened water with the exception of two. And that's the only reason I'm using the RO water, is because it is also non-softened water. In this, I've mixed in, this is 2 liters of water. And for every liter of water, you mix in 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, and a couple drops of bleach. So in this 2 liters of water, I have 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and I don't know, maybe a teaspoon of bleach. I doubt it was that much. And what that's for is the sugar feeds the flowers. The other thing, the vinegar acidifies the water, and the bleach just helps to stop any kind of bacterial growth. And this is a really good substitute for commercial floral preservative water, or those little packets, or you can buy pails of it. I think I have a bucket of it in the basement, but this is a very, very good substitute. I would caution you on using it with zinnias. In my experience, it changed the color of the zinnias, and it didn't work very well. So just try, if you're going to use it with zinnias, try 1 or 2 zinnia first, just to make sure that it's okay, that works for you. Good, so I'm just going to get that in there, get it nice and sturdy, and then move things around to where I need them. Like this, for example, it's supposed to be right at the back, and somehow it made its way to the front. And so I'm just going to take that out. Oh, they really like to get tangled up. As a matter of fact, I think I'll strip some of these bottom ones to get that in there just a little better. And then fill it up with water. And you're good to go. That will suck up water. Probably you'll have to refill it again tomorrow. I've actually made much more than I need to. And when you make extra like that, you can simply store that water in a glass jar. You may want to label it if someone in your house is wondering what it is. I don't know if you drinking the bleach. And yeah, it'll suck up a lot of water very quickly in the first 24 hours, and then it'll kind of settle down. I think that looks pretty good. I think this shot of red might look good too. If I tuck that in, this is going to open with a nice yellow center. So I think that'll be all right as well. I'm just going to move this guy. There we go. Yeah, that turned out all right for an early season bouquet. Anyways, so that formula again is for every liter of water, 1 tablespoon of plain white sugar, 1 tablespoon of plain white vinegar, and a couple of drops of bleach. And that's going to help keep your bouquet nice for a lot longer without having to change out the water every day. There we go. I hope you enjoy your bouquet. This isn't about the design, right? As I said, I'm not a designer. I know that many of you can do probably a much nicer job. This is about bringing them into your house, bug-free. I see that question time and time and time again. How do I bring my peonies into the house? I don't like to bring cut flowers into the house because I don't want to bring bugs into the house. So that's what this is about. And it's simply about dunking them in water. And that's going to get rid of, 99% of your bugs, if not all of them. So I hope you found this video interesting today and helpful in some way. Once I get a few more peonies going back there, I'm going to start wrapping them and storing them for use further on into the summer months. So many come in all at once, and very often they just go to waste on the plant. A storm comes through or whatever. So I do like to cut them and keep them to use 6 weeks in the future, and I'm going to be showing you how to do that as well. Anyways, enjoy your bouquets, enjoy your garden. I hope you found it interesting. If you did, give me a thumbs up, tell your friends, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Thanks again. See you.